Welcome to Conversations. I'm Muqtadar Khan, your host, and today I'm going to talk to you about the Pakistan's war with Afghanistan. And the Pakistani defense minister has declared that they're going to have an open war. I don't know what they mean by an open war, but anyway, basically, I think he's implying that this is going to be an all-out war against Afghanistan. And already you have followed Afghanistan claims that it has killed many Pakistanis across the border, has captured many of the outposts inside Pakistan, and Pakistan has bombarded Kabul as well as Kandahar, and it claims that it has killed several terrorists and their supporters, and also there are rumors floating around that the leader of the Taliban has also been killed, but there are no confirmations about it. So first of all, this war was long overdue and coming. There's no doubt about this. So, but in this particular, I've talked about this issue extensively, but in this particular conversations, I essentially will make the case that there are 5 reasons why I think that Pakistan is going to be very brutal with Afghanistan in this war, and I'm going to articulate what those 5 reasons really are. But going forward, I wanted to also remind you that this is not a war that is going to benefit either of the two countries. So they are both very poor countries. Pakistan's per capita GDP is about $1,600. Afghanistan is really as poor as Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, or terrible as bad as Bihar, with about 700, 800 per capita income in dollars per year. So this is a really impoverished country. They simply don't have the money to fight. And the fact that they are spending so much resources in doing damage to each other boggles the mind, really. But anyway, so I'm going to quickly discuss these 5 reasons why I think Pakistan is going to be far more brutal with Afghanistan than even the US was during its entire occupation. So the number one reason why I think such is going to be the case is because for Pakistan, this is a war of necessity, and for Afghanistan, this is a war of choice. For Pakistan, this is a war of necessity. Pakistan has been forced into a position by constant cross-border terrorism. I mean, for those of you who are from India, you will say, well, this is chickens coming home to roost, that Pakistan did this to India, and now Afghanistan is doing this to Pakistan. So in that sense, you can say that this war that Pakistan has declared on Afghanistan is like Pakistan's Operation Sindoor, you can say, attacking its neighbor for cross-border terrorism. But nevertheless, this is a war of necessity. Pakistan cannot continue to allow TTP to come across its borders and continue to kill and blow up people, kill security, basically to cause destabilization and cause terrorism inside its borders. So for Pakistan, this is a war of necessity. But for Afghanistan, this is a war of choice. Afghanistan is choosing to fight this war, and I don't understand the logic behind it. How is a war with Pakistan in the national interest of Afghanistan? I would really love to see. If Amir Khan Muttaqi wants to come on this show and debate with me, I will be happy to host him and find out as to what national interest does it serve. How does it serve Afghanistan's national interest to support TTP? Eventually, it's going to turn against Afghanistan. Remember that. Just as the Taliban, who were supported by Pakistan for decades, Taliban is a terrorist organization. There's no doubt about it. They're going to use suicide bombings now. Just watch, against civilian targets. So Pakistan has supported the Taliban for decades, and they turned against them. The same thing is going to happen to Afghanistan and the TTP. So because for Pakistan, this is a war of necessity, and for Afghanistan, a war of choice, I think Pakistan is going to be really brutal in its retaliation. And because Pakistan has air power, Afghanistan has no such thing. Afghanistan doesn't even have proper air defense systems, and it does not have the capacity to hit back as hard. All it can do is fire across the border and then send suicide bombers. These are the weapons. It was able to harass the US, and the cost of staying in Afghanistan for 20 years became very expensive. That's why the US left. It was not as if it was defeated by Afghanistan, by the Taliban. So the Taliban are going to suffer heavy losses. and there is going to be a lot of devastation of its meager infrastructure. Rumsfeld used to say, I'm tired of shooting $5 million missiles at $10 tents. There was not many things that America could hit and destroy in Afghanistan. Similarly, Pakistan is going to find that there are not many targets in Afghanistan which it can destroy to punish the Taliban. But anyway, we'll see, perhaps with help from the United States, with intelligence from the US, Pakistan might be able to identify and locate the terrorist camps and hit them. We'll see what is happening. But so far, the Afghans are saying a lot of civilians have been killed. Pakistan is obviously denying that. So the number one reason is this is a war of necessity. So Pakistan is going to be very tough. Number two, Pakistan has no intention of occupying Afghanistan, unlike what the United States did. The US occupied Afghanistan. The US wanted to make Afghanistan a democracy. The US was into nation building. They wanted to bring gender equality. I mean, they wanted to bring in Afghanistan what we don't have in the US. A full-fledged democracy with gender equality. So the US was investing in nation building in Afghanistan. It was building malls, it was building schools and universities and infrastructure, etc. All of that is going to be destroyed in this war. US spent trillions of dollars, literally more than $2 trillion in Afghanistan, building it, trying to build it, and hoping that it will become an ally and a democracy, and failed utterly. Pakistan is not going to attempt any such things. Pakistan is merely using this war to punish the Taliban. It's going to degrade the capacity of Taliban. It's going to punish them. And if successful, it may destroy some of the capabilities of TTP, Tehrik-e-Taliban. Pakistan, this is the main reason for this war. Perhaps Pakistan is hoping that it can punish Taliban enough so that the cost of supporting TTP becomes unbearable for the Taliban. That is all Pakistan wants to achieve, and therefore it is going to attack. And that's why it's going to be far more brutal than the United States definitely was. The third reason why I think Pakistan will be more tougher and brutal than the United States is because there isn't a very strong civil rights tradition inside Pakistan. There are a few human rights organizations, but there isn't a strong impetus where once Pakistan's war starts killing civilians, that there will be an upsurge inside Pakistan saying, oh, please stop, what are you doing? You're killing people, you're killing civilians, etc. You will not see that. This will be like Israel and Gaza. Israel hate people. They were happy the children were being killed. Israeli soldiers are proud of the fact that they killed children in Gaza. And Israel has a pretty strong human rights movement inside itself. But in Pakistan, you don't have that strong tradition. So domestically, there will be no pressure on the Pakistani army to be careful, to avoid civilian targets. They can blow up whatever infrastructure that there is. And they're going to rely more and more on air power because they're not going to send soldiers down. And then Afghanistan, if they send army into Afghanistan, then they will face casualties. There, the Taliban are pretty good. They will fight them on the ground. So this is going to be mostly an air war from Pakistan's side, predominantly. So I think because there's no civil rights pressure on the Pakistani military, it's going to be very tough. And because it cannot afford to fight a very long war, it's going to try and finish this war as quickly as possible. So it's going to throw everything that it has towards Afghanistan, unfortunately. The fourth reason why I think the Pakistanis are going to be very tough is because they see the Taliban now as a proxy for India. I mean, I don't need to remind anybody about the enmity between India and Pakistan that has gone on from their birth. In fact, before their birth, Pakistanis and Indians were killing each other as the partition was taking place. And there was just recently, in May last year, India and Pakistan fought a small 4-day war called, from India's side, it was called Operation Sindoor. So the Pakistanis are going to see Afghanistan not as a brotherly state, not as a fellow Muslim country, not as a neighbor with common religion, common ethnicity, common culture, common values, common history. No, they're not going to see that. They're going to see, because Pakistan shares all of that with India, common history, common ethnicity. There are lots of Indian Muslims as many as Pakistani Muslims, etc. All of that is not factored in. They see it as an enemy, and they will see Afghanistan and the Taliban as a proxy of India. And I think that is going to be another major factor where Pakistan is going to be far more aggressive in its war on Afghanistan than one would anticipate otherwise. We will see what happens when Arab countries like Saudi Arabia and Oman and Qatar, especially Qatar, try to intervene. Qatar is already intervening. The Taliban are already calling for a dialogue. Perhaps they think that this is not a war. They want to fight. I think the Taliban wanted to become a nuisance value. They actually don't want to fight a full-fledged war. I see absolutely no national interest for Afghanistan to fight any war with anybody. This is the poorest country in the world. Its people are suffering. It is literally surviving because of humanitarian aid from other countries. Nobody recognizes it. India is supposed to be its friend. India doesn't recognize the Taliban as a legitimate government of Afghanistan. So this country, in this particular situation, when it should be trying to make friends with everybody and getting financial aid and support for development, etc., is now putting its entire population into another war. They've been at war since the 1980s, or rather 77, 79. 21%, 40, nearly 50 years they have been at war. 2 or 3 generations of Afghans have known no other thing but war. So if they're doing this at the behest of India, then, especially nurturing TTP, then they are doing a great disservice to their own country's national interest. And the fifth reason why I think Pakistan is going to be very tough is because it is going to get support from the United States. Already I see reports in the media where the United States has somehow said something which is sort of supportive, saying Pakistan has a right to defend itself against terrorist attacks from TTP. So if the United States projects Pakistan's war on Afghanistan as justifiable, then of course Modi is going to keep his mouth shut. He's not going to say anything. He's so afraid of Donald Trump. He keeps avoiding Trump, doesn't go anywhere where Trump is. So India will be quiet. India is not going to support Afghanistan. No one else will. The only thing that the Arab countries will do is try to put pressure on Pakistan to stop this fighting. But Pakistan has very clear claims, at least this time, saying that Afghanistan must stop. And I don't know whether Qatar can guarantee that the Taliban will ensure that the TTP does not attack Pakistan. I don't think so, because then it will turn on Afghanistan. TTP will one day do to Afghanistan and the Taliban what the Taliban is doing to Pakistan. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind. If you are going to support terrorists, they're going to come back and haunt you. There's a reason why they are terrorists. Because they don't value human life. And there is no doubt that Taliban is a terrorist group. They use terrorism, and now they terrorize half their population. Women are not even allowed to go out, not allowed to go to school, not allowed to work. What kind of a country is that? So these are the 5 reasons why I think this war is going to be very brutal from the Pakistani point of view, unless there's some pressure on Pakistan to back off. And that pressure can only come from the United States, Qatar and Saudi Arabia. I don't think they can put that much pressure. They can incentivize. They can say, okay, we'll give you $2 billion, stop fighting, maybe. But they have to get some reassurances from Afghanistan. Because like I said, if they stop fighting now and a week later, a month later, TTP, some guy crosses the border in and blows himself up or kills a few civilians or even security personnel, then what's the point of this peace? So that is where we are. And so I really worry for Afghanistan. And that a country which was about to gain peace is now again at war. It's as if they don't want to be in peace. Anyway, this is very depressing. So I'm going to stop at this. If you've not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, press the bell icon, and don't forget to share this video with your socio-political network. Anyway, if there are any questions, I will be happy to answer them. If there are interesting comments, I will read them out. But thank you for watching. For those of you who are in India and in Pakistan and would like to listen to the Urdu and English and Hindi version of this, I already did a long show before this, so you can go to my channel and see the Hindi Urdu version of it. And I also took many questions from the audience for that particular show. Gilani Sabun Saab, walaikum salam to you too. What should India do in this situation? Well, India has no leverage over Pakistan. India could play the peacemaker, but India doesn't play that role at all. India could have played the peacemaker between Israel and Iran. India chose not to do that. India could have played a peacemaker between Ukraine and Russia. India chose not to do that. So these days, India is not interested in peace. It just wants to talk. That's the voice of the global South, but it is not really interested in the interests of the global South. So I have no expectations from India on this score. Thank you very much. But it would be very interesting. Like, what language would we use? I don't know whether Muttaqi speaks Urdu. If it is in Urdu, then yeah, I can debate him. But if anybody is watching and you have access to Amir Muttaqi, I would love to have him on the show to explain to me how this war is in Afghanistan's national interest. How does allowing TTP to live? Yes, it was its partner in its war against. TTP was never attacking the US. When the US was there, it was always attacking Pakistan. So there might be some relatives and relations, but I don't think that there is any reason why Afghanistan should be supporting a terrorist group like TTP. Is there anybody else, also any Afghan, pro-Afghan voice or thinker who has some justification as to how supporting terrorist groups is in its national interest? I would love to hear that. Good Friday. I think this region is doomed because of radicals. Yes, there's radicals everywhere, including in India. In India, you have radical groups. You have a chief minister in Assam who is making videos shooting civilians, his own population. He's encouraging people to go and attack another community and say, don't pay them. If you owe them 5 rupees, then give them only 4 rupees. And things like that. He's saying harass another religious community. And the Supreme Court will not even hear a case against him. So yes, there are radicals everywhere in the South Asia, no doubt about it. Even the Buddhists in South Asia, whether it's in Myanmar or South or Sri Lanka, resorted to terrorism. That's one problem. I did a long interview on The Diplomat on this particular subject. So if you go Google it, you will find out. If Pakistan manages to destroy TTP camps, but in the process causes the Afghan economy to collapse, will the resulting chaos? No, it doesn't help anybody. Look, if the Taliban have managed to keep some stability in the region, right, in Afghanistan, they have controlled ISIS to some extent, they have controlled Al-Qaeda to some extent, but they have not controlled TTP. This is their choice. Now, this could be something that they're doing at the behest of India or not. Maybe they think India is going to give them something. I don't know what India can offer to them. But if the Taliban government falls, there will be total chaos. There will be many small emirates, one run by ISIS, one run by TTP, one run by Al-Qaeda and stuff like that. So the Pakistanis, I can't see a scenario of a victory scenario for Pakistan. I would love to know how the Pakistani military sees a victory in this war. What is victory for Pakistan? For Afghanistan, just survival for Taliban is a victory. That's easy. But for Pakistan, I don't know what would victory be. Killing 10,000 Taliban, then who's going to keep peace in Afghanistan? Nobody's going to support Afghanistan. Nobody, including India. I can guarantee you that. This country is not recognized by anybody. The country, not the country, but the government. Nobody recognizes Taliban. Only the Indian government has pampered it, invited Muttaqi twice to have 2 press conferences, etc. All of that is just superficial stuff. India is not going to send troops. India is not going to send money. India is not going to send weapons in this war. Because if it does, then India will become a terrorist sponsor. So that's not going to happen. No other country is going to. The only thing that countries are going to do, which are Saudi Arabia and some of the Muslim countries, under pressure from their population, they might put pressure on Pakistan to stop fighting. They're not going to support the Taliban. No way. And this war, if it becomes long, will also upset other countries in the region, China in particular. China was very upset after all the investments that Wang Yi did in trying to make peace between Pakistan and China. If you remember, he brought Muttaqi and the Pakistani Isakhdar to come to Pakistan, to China and meet together. Then Wang Yi came to India, then went to Islamabad, then went to Kabul. And there was all this shuttle diplomacy that he was trying to do. There was this offer for Afghanistan to become part of CPEC. All of that was offered to Afghanistan, but they chose to do this. It seems that they have no other vision except to be part of a war all the time. Oh, yes. This is going to, if the war lasts long, Pakistani's economy is going to take a dent. I'm not sure how much support it will get from the US. Yes, they'll share intelligence. They may give some ammunitions, but they're not going to fund this war, especially if it's going to last years. And America knows it has stayed and fought the Taliban for 20 years, and the Taliban still are there. So Pakistan, there are 50 million people in Afghanistan today. When the US went in, there were 30 million or so. So this is the only country which, in spite of war, the population grows. It's not like Ukraine, whose population has declined by 20%. Even Russia's population has declined in the war in the last 4 years. But Afghanistan's population went up in a 20-year war that it fought with the US. So for Pakistan, this is going to be a terrible, terrible choice to have a prolonged war. It cannot afford a prolonged war. And remember, the more Pakistan spends in this war, the weaker it becomes vis-a-vis India. So if there is Operation Sindoor 2.0, Pakistan may not be able to defend itself as well as it did in Operation Sindoor 1.0. So this war is going to weaken it both economically and militarily, for no doubt about it. Will Saudi Arabia support it? No, Saudi Arabia is going to say, you're supposed to support me if I'm attacked, but I'm not going to support you in a war that you are starting. It's a different thing that if Afghanistan had declared war on Pakistan and attacked it, then maybe Saudi Arabia might help and support it. But I think Pakistan will get some financial support from Saudis, but not in billions and billions of dollars. They can't afford it, India's image in the West is declining. Already Nikhil Gupta has confessed. So India is seen as, they're not using the word, but India is sponsoring terrorism inside the US, inside Canada. They're calling it transnational repression. So Indian government is already being involved in that. Indian raw agents were kicked out of Germany. They were kicked out of Australia. They were also kicked out of UK and Canada and the US. So all of these English-speaking countries have already experienced this negative so-called policies of Prime Minister Modi. Oh, we'll talk about it. Tomorrow I will do 3 or 4 scenarios that I think, if the US might probably attack tomorrow, probably, or the after tomorrow. And there are no good scenarios either. For Iran, obviously, this is not something that Iran wants. But for the US too, I can't see, just like for Pakistan, I can't see a victory definition. I see nothing, nobody's going to gain. And if Iran does retaliate the way it can, in terms of shutting down Hormuz or attacking the Arab Gulf countries, then it is going to be bad for them too. Oh, Pakistan is not going to send ground troops. If it starts sending ground troops, then they will start dying. The Taliban will kill them, thousands. They may kill more Taliban, but the Taliban will kill many Pakistani soldiers. So I think this is going to be mostly aerial attacks from Pakistan. Going to use their air force extensively. I'm not sure. They will use the ground forces to defend, because the only way Taliban can commit damage is by coming to the border and shooting at them, or crossing the border and committing suicide attacks. But Pakistan, I don't think is going to try and occupy it. If it tries to do that, then it's finished. Pakistan will suffer more. Afghanistan has nothing to lose. Pakistan at least has a functioning country that might go down the drain. I have no idea. I don't understand the logic at all. I mean, there are relations, the common agenda, they apparently fought together. All of that is there, but from a strategic point of view, it doesn't make sense at all. But then the Taliban is not a rational actor. I'm looking for rational reasons to understand this rubbish. This is an interesting thought, Manish. Regime change in Afghanistan. Who will you replace them with? The US tried. They brought Hamid Karzai, a professor from Johns Hopkins. His family has kebab restaurants in Baltimore, right here, 50 miles from where I live. They built an army. The Germans and the Americans, they built an army and trained it, spent literally billions and billions of dollars. And what did that army do? It just ran away, it didn't fight. Didn't have the motivation to fight the Taliban, left all the weapons to the Taliban. The Taliban today is much stronger than what it was when it was fighting the US because of all the weapons that the US left behind. So if Pakistan regime change is not possible, unless there is an alternative, I don't see any alternative in Afghanistan right now. Who will replace? It's like in Iran. Yes, you can kill thousands of people. You can bombard Iran incessantly and kill thousands of civilians and people, and maybe even people from the IRGC. But who is going to run Iran after that? It will become like a crazy place like Iraq. ISIS will emerge, and God knows what will emerge. People are asking tough questions. Oh my God, this is a really tough question. So many. Do you think this wars all over the world is triggering after Russia? I think this is America's fault. The United States is supposed to be the policeman of the world, right? They're protecting Israel, but they're not doing anything else. The United States has withdrawn from maintaining the global order, and so it's being very selective as to where it will intervene and where it will not. And in the regions where the US is not intervening or taking responsibility for security, there is nobody else who is taking that charge. This is an opportunity for China to play a role. What is China doing? Nothing. This is an opportunity for India to show leadership. But India is sucking up to Israel. It has on a different agenda. So which country can replace the US in this region, the AFPAC region, to show leadership? Russia? Russia is too busy. Saudi Arabia? I'm not very sure that Saudi Arabia and Qatar are capable of doing this. So I don't know who can. The US can. The US can do this. They can cut off all humanitarian aid that goes to the Taliban, stop all the funding. The US is still sending millions of dollars to Afghanistan. The US can put a lot more pressure on the Taliban. But then it will be dripping the US back into Afghanistan. And this is what Trump had negotiated, that we are done with Afghanistan. They might give some weapons, some money, some support to Pakistan. So yes, in that sense, you could say, because the world has become so unstable, we are going to see more and more such wars all over the place. I don't know why people think that the U.S. wants Bagram Air Base to essentially threaten Iran, but right now it has so many air bases already. I really don't understand why the U.S. wants the Bagram Air Base. Maybe they said we spent billions of dollars building it up, and we want it for that reason. I see no reason why they need not get involved in a war to get that base. They could make a deal with the Taliban. Right, I take a look at it. He predicted this war 10 years ago. Very interesting. This is before Afghanistan took over, before Taliban took over Afghanistan in 2021. This is a good question. Very good question. I agree with you. But nobody expects Pakistan to be the leader of South Asia. Pakistani leaders don't go around the world saying we are Vishwa Guru, we are the voice of the global South. Look at all the talk of India as a global leader, India as a global power. Just Google Dr. Jaishankar and Modi and India as a world power. For the last 10 years, they've been just bragging about it, that India is a world power, we are the leader, the world wants to follow us, all eyes are on India. So India has been bragging about it. It's like saying, if you keep saying that every match I will score 100, and every time you fail, people are going to laugh at you. Pakistan doesn't go around claiming that it's the leader of South Asia, leader of the voice of the global South or anything. Pakistanis even don't claim that they are voice of Pakistan sometimes. You know, about a month ago, I watched a Pakistani show. I don't know how I got interested. And the show's name is Main Manto Nahi Hu or something. So there were 37 episodes. So I did a review of it on my channel and then I watched it. And what was stunning to me was in 37 hours that I watched this show over a period of 3-4 months, there wasn't 5 minutes of national jingoism on that show. But you can't watch a single Indian television show or movie where there's all this talk of Bharat Mata Ki Jai. Like you can summarize every movie and every TV show with one line, Bharat Mata Ki Jai. That's all they are. So India is like hyper-nationalist right now. That's why people are being critical. Plus, India is a big country. It talks about it all the time. The biggest country in South Asia, the fourth biggest economy in the world, with aspirations to the global leadership. India demands to be on the Security Council. India demands to be in the leadership in World Bank, IMF. India wants to be at the table of global governance. Then show. I mean, that's what I keep saying. You can't show leadership in South Asia. How are you going to show leadership in the world? And now Modi went all the way to Israel and not one word about the genocide in Gaza. You think the rest of the world is okay with that? No. Everybody notices that. Even Americans were stunned by it. That's not leadership. That is sucking up. So India wants to be a global leader, but doesn't act like a global leader. Pakistan, nobody expects it to be leader. Even the Pakistanis don't pretend to be global leader. But you are right. Pakistan has trouble with all its neighbors. There was an exchange with Iran where Iran bombed Pakistan, Pakistan bombed Iran. So the relations with India, Iran used to be very good. Now India has screwed that also by going to Israel at the time when Israel and US are about to attack Iran and not say anything in support of Iran. So anyway, Pakistan has bad relations with Iran, bad relations with Afghanistan, bad relations with India. But Pakistan has improved relations with China and with Bangladesh. So at least in South Asia, Pakistan has two friends. Of the four biggest countries, two of them are Pakistan's friends and one is an enemy, which is India. Of the four biggest countries in South Asia, for India, India is not friendly with any of these three, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Pakistan, or China. Only Bhutan is a good, even with Nepal, India doesn't have good relations. Russia is too busy trying to get what little land it can from Ukraine before eventually the war ends. I think this is the last year. The war will end sometime, hopefully in 2026. Yes, you're right. Everybody knows Iran doesn't have a nuclear program. What being worried about? It has two weapons. One has been destroyed, which is its proxies, like Hezbollah and others, and its drones and ballistic capabilities, and that is what they're going to try and destroy in this war. You said only G2 can do something about it. Who said that? Here. I mean, G2 is India, China, and the US, but you're saying China does not intervene. I don't know what you mean by sucking up to America. I'm an American. I'm an American. I've lived in this country longer than I've lived anywhere else in my life. Yes, I was born in India. I care about India, but I'm an American. So what do you mean suck up? I want my country to be prosperous. I want it to be peaceful, and I want it to be a moral agent in the world. I want America to be a force for good. That's why I'm critical of American foreign policy, not because I'm anti-America, because I have great expectations from the United States. Think of all the wonderful things that exist in the world today. Nearly everything has come from the US. You want to talk about airplanes? Came from the US. Space travel? The US. Internet? The US. Microwave? The US. Artificial intelligence? The US. Facebook? YouTube? Everything has come from the US. This is a great country, and I'm proud to be an American. Someone says my knowledge about South Asia is pathetic. So I want you to read some articles of mine. Day before yesterday, I published an article in day before yesterday, I published an article in the Diplomat about Modi's visit to Israel, and you can potentially see that article on the Diplomat, and in which I talk about its impact on South Asia and Indian foreign policy. This is the article. You can see that. And then today, I published a very long article on India's Air Force, Indian Air Force, in India's magazine called Frontline magazine. A very extensive article that I published. Let me just share that article with you guys, so you know how little I know about South Asia, that I publish all the time about South Asia these days in South Asian journals and magazines, which are very prominent. So this is my article that was published yesterday. I mean, it's 28th today now because it's 1 o'clock in the night. But for me, it was published today. India's Air Force running out of sky and steam. So it's a very extensive article about Tejas 1, Tejas 2, India's efforts to buy jet engines, to buy Rafale, India's efforts to get technology from SARF, the France SARF company, all of that. Very extensive assessment of India's Air Force capabilities. So you should go and read those articles. This is a good question. See, don't you think India needs a Monroe Doctrine? So India's Monroe Doctrine would put pressure on other powers from intervening in South Asia. So if you define China as outside South Asia, then will India be able to kick China out of Bangladesh, kick China out of Sri Lanka? All South Asian countries, except India, are part of the Belt and Road Initiative. China is a bigger investor in all South Asian countries, except Bhutan, than India. And China is India's biggest trading partner. You know those little numbers by which they say, oh, the US is number one? That is because China and Hong Kong are separated. But if you add India's trade with China and India's trade with Hong Kong, you will find that India's biggest trading partner is China, Hong Kong. Hong Kong is part of China. It's a beautiful city. I was there a few months ago, had a great time. So India can have a Monroe Doctrine, but India should have the capacity to push America out of Pakistan, China out of Bangladesh. Can India do that? So it's not a simple thing. Doctrines are not capacity. Doctrines are ideas. The hypothetical question. One hypothetical, why Pakistan and India not reset its ties? That is a very good question. You know, Imran Khan came in 2019 and stopped trade with India. That was a stupid, stupid mistake. Already, in spite of that, when Modi stopped it after what happened in Pahalgam, India-Pakistan trade had already reached 1 billion plus. So India, I think, was on the top 10 trading partners of Pakistan. You can have open borders, you can have trade. The whole of South Asia could become like a European Union. But there's too much of religious agendas. You know, Pakistan wants to be an Islamic state, India wants to be a Hindu state. Now Jamaat Islami is gaining power in Bangladesh. It is becoming the second biggest party. There are Buddhists who are on rampage in Sri Lanka and Myanmar. So as long as all of this is going on, you need people to be materialist, like the Europeans and Westerners. Then they will have peace. Then they'll keep their religion in the drawer and work for economic benefits. That's why they have high quality of life in the West, because they are dedicated to improving the quality of life. Look at Afghanistan. You think a country with $700 per capita income should be in any war at all? That's the problem with South Asia, too much of religious politics. Thanks, Sajid. All right, I think I've run out of questions and comments, so thank you very much for watching Conversations. And when is India? I think tomorrow, yes. Tomorrow is India-West Indies match. This is going to be absolutely fantastic. It's very important that India win this match, because if India loses this match, I don't think Pakistan is going to win by 65, 670 runs against Sri Lanka, unless Sri Lanka deliberately does that. Sri Lanka is out. If they want to help Pakistan, they could do it, but I don't know why they would do that. But otherwise, there will be no South Asian team in the semi-final, so it's important. And thankfully, Indian batsmen have come back in form against Zimbabwe, and they played like they should have played. In fact, that was, I think, the best Indian batting performance up and down the ladder. So anyway, so everybody, thank you for watching Conversations. Please subscribe to the channel, like this video, press the bell icon, and it's already very late here. Take care. Bye.